Welcome to VoteProPot-Cast, brought to you by VoteProPot.com.
So I was thinking the other day about how we did that story last week about driving under the influence of cannabis, and it reminded me of when we were in high school. I think Jay was with me. We were driving down Belpre Road, and I was driving. I had like 4 or 5 people in the back seat. Jay was in the passenger seat. I came to a stop sign, and I sat there and waited for the light to change. And we were there for I'm not exaggerating, like 3 minutes, which is really like a long time.
Yeah.
And did the stop sign change color?
No, it didn't.
Imagine that.
And I suddenly I went, oh shit, what am I doing? And Jay was like, what's wrong? I was like, just fucking stop. And I realized there were 5 people in the back seat.
No.
that were stoned to bejeebies, and no one realized we're showing a stop sign.
Oh God.
So don't smoke and drive, people.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a bad idea. Well, hello again, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Vote Pro Podcast. I'm Phil Adams.
I'm Jay Britton.
And I'm Andrew McCready's.
And we're going to get to a lot of things today, so buckle up. We're going to start with an article about the 10 richest cannabis millionaires. Then we're going to talk about a new method for consuming cannabis, what to do if you consume too much in the form of edibles, and an article about how more seniors are turning to weed for age-related aches and pains, and in particular, another story about newscaster Tom Brokaw is now embracing medical marijuana. But first, Jay is going to talk to us about Amazon, the FDA, and CBDs. What do you got, Jay?
I got 3 articles that tie together here about CBD and the FDA. Washington, D.C., the outgoing commissioner of the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, Scott Gottlieb, has affirmed his stance that it could take several years for the agency to create regulations specific to the marketing of certain CBD-infused products. In December, as everybody knows, Congress enacted legislation that removed industrial hemp, that's cannabis containing less than 0.3% THC, from the Controlled Substances Act, which is great, right? That sounds fantastic. However, the following day, the FDA had a statement, and this is what they said, quote, "It is unlawful under the FD&C Act, which is the Food, Drug, and Cosmetics Act, to introduce food containing added CBD or THC into interstate commerce or to market CBD or THC products as or in dietary supplements, regardless of whether the substances are hemp-derived." So that's where all the confusion's coming from. And that's why some states pulled CBD products off their shelves recently, right? We covered that story a few weeks ago.
That's right.
So with that in mind, there's 2 articles here related to that. The first one is that food of products containing marijuana extracts puts FDA in a bind. The problem is spokespeople from the FDA are saying that it could take up to 10 years to develop regulations and to handle the testing that's required for this. This being all these new products that are out that contain CBD. So we've talked about lotions and foods and anything that you put into your body. If CBD is an additive, or for that matter, THC, it has to be regulated. It has to be tested and approved. So this is causing a real hassle in the community. And the article that this leads to me is, this is for folks who are out there using the oils. And like I said, some of them are being yanked off the shelf. So it can be difficult to find in some areas. The problem is so many of these are not tested. And this article that I pulled up today from Citizen Truth talks about, technically, Amazon will not sell CBD products. But you can find them. If you do a search for CBD oil on Amazon, you get 22 pages of results. So there's a lot of companies sneaking around by using different search words and different titles so that they don't get caught by the algorithms. So what this guy did, and it's pretty interesting, he took the 3 most popular on Amazon, the ones with the most reviews, and he bought one of each and had them tested at a laboratory. And the findings are amazing to me. What he found, the most popular is one, and they sell a CBD oil. It's a tincture, and it had hundreds of reviews. So when it was tested, they claim a 1,000 milligram on the bottle. So it says you get 1,000 milligrams in the bottle so that you can kind of, dose it. When the test came back, guess what it was? The whole bottle contained 8.7 milligrams. And this was true for all the products that he bought. So be careful when you're buying CBD oil. And I've heard and seen many articles online, and many people have written us, and I've seen things on our Facebook page, and that, that CBD market can be a complete ripoff if you're not careful where you buy it. And this all comes back to the beginning of my speech, and that is the FDA really does need to come up with regulations.
Well, if it's going to take them 10 years, I should think they better get started.
Yeah, that's right. Well, they can't even figure out how to do it.
What's the difference between putting, what about, if you're going to add St. John's wort or chamomile or something to a product, or have all those products been tested, all these other holistic natural medicines?
If you are going to put it in your body, yes. In other words, if you're going to...
Really? So anything like chamomile teas or you have a... I don't know.
That's a great question.
Well, you make a great point, Andrew.
Yeah,
I mean, there are so many herbal, holistic. I mean, does everything that if you go to
GNC
or if you go somewhere for like, buy things for aromatherapy,
right.
which
all
apparently have a lot of benefits. Are those all tested? Have those gotten the FDA seal of approval on them? I doubt
10
it.
years of study?
Yeah.
What about, so in other words, you can get all the CBD you want in an edible as long as there's THC in it, and you buy it from Dixie.
And you buy it from a dispensary.
Right.
I think the answer, and again, I'm not an expert, maybe someone can call our message line at 240-257-2441 that has more information or understands it better than we do, because it's very confusing. Let us know. But my understanding is most of the products that you see in the dispensaries have been tested, I believe, and it says FDA approved on there, right?
Right.
So
that's what you want.
Yeah. So, and what they're really testing for is mostly that you're getting what they're claiming on the label. I think that's a lot of the testing. And of course, making sure there are no
that's fine.
ancillary dangerous products in there. But mostly people make claims of 1,000 milligrams and you got 8.7. That's a ripoff.
I mean, that's not even close. I mean, if it were 700 milligrams, you would still be barking about it. But 8? Come on. Well, folks, like Jay said, if you have any more information on this and you can help us out, please do contact us. You can find us at VoteProPot.com.
Or send us an email at VoteProPot@gmail.com.
And please like and follow us and make comments on Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Just do a search for VoteProPot.
Andrew, you've got an article about seniors and how more and more of them are turning to weed for, their age-related tweaks and aches and pains and whatnot.
Turns out in sunny Southern California, there's a senior citizens home where every month the bunch of the residents there get on a bus and they go to the Bud and Bloom dispensary for their monthly prescription of cannabis. So apparently they go there, they get a light lunch, they play bingo, and there's like 40 or 50 of them.
And they get stoned.
So, well, I don't know what they do on the bus, but yeah, it's a good experience for them to get out. And also they have lectures and they can ask questions. And as it turns out, these aging baby boomers are the fastest growing market in the cannabis industry. They say a lot of these people used it 40, 50 years ago, these boomers, but then they got married and had kids and they stopped using. And now they're turning back to weed for all their aches and pains, for sleeplessness, for other maladies of old age. Now, some of them, they've talked to some of these people. One of them made a very good point. She goes, I came here out of desperation. The pharmaceutical painkillers and the opiates just wasn't helping my pain anymore, and the side effects were just awful. And now the one woman that they asked, she is off her all the opiates, and she's doing this, and so what she did was now she started a club, and this was years ago. She started a club, and it started with just a couple people, and they were sort of kept a low profile the first year and a half or so. But now they were sort of out in the open, and now she has 1,000 members. They have all these events. They have speakers. They go on trips.
Wow.
So a lot of dispensaries and businesses are starting to look at the seniors as like a potential, market. They're going to start targeting these people, and some of them are doing unique things. So they're starting marijuana clubs like that for seniors. They are offering lectures where they can come to the dispensaries, or they send representatives from the dispensaries to the retirement homes to give little seminars, or other places. They could go to libraries or medical centers, whatever, and give lectures and answer any questions. I think a lot of these people, they could start a weekly delivery service to each retirement community. You could start a preferred shoppers program, because one thing these elderly people are very brand loyal. So if they like you, they're gonna come back to you time and time again. And once you capture them, you got them. Another thing, which I don't know if they'll do this, as I had this idea this afternoon. Man, I don't know if any dispensaries offer an AARP discount, but that could be.
We should call AARP, see if they sponsor that.
We're all eligible.
Yeah.
Also, they could start marketing like an infused boost. Those supplement drinks.
Right.
Yeah.
Infused boost. Yeah. Take that, Geritol.
Right. Weed bingos where you win, you get pre-rolls every time you win a game.
Weed bingo.
Yeah, we went to the dispensary a couple weeks ago, 3 of us. And who was there waiting in the waiting room? There weren't too many young people.
God, you're
there.
right.
They were all,
You're right.
all old farts like us.
Andrew, what are your theories on why? And I've noticed it too, and we see it on our social media. So many of the people who follow us and who comment are definitely over 50 and 55. Why do you think that is?
One of the things I think is interesting, and I thought of this today, and one of the things they always said about the legalization is that it's going to the young people. They're going to start doing it more, and as it turns out, that's not true. The young people aren't even doing it anymore because they could do it anyway.
Yeah.
To them, it's been legal all along. They're like, oh, now it's legal. I'm going to start smoking.
Yeah,
I've had a million chances to smoke before. So that, and also a lot of the boomers smoked when they were young. A lot of people voluntarily have quit smoking weed in their lives.
When you have kids, and absolutely.
Right.
Well, yeah.
Professional.
I know people. As soon as they got pregnant for the first time, they threw away the bong, or they gave it to me. I got a lot of bongs that way.
Or maybe they never entirely stopped. They became responsible and adult, and they just did it from time to time.
Right.
They never completely gave it up, but they're not afraid of it. They're not like the generation before that grew up with reefer madness, and the use of cannabis really exploded, I think, in our era, in the mid-late 70s.
Yeah, right.
And those folks are now, getting to be senior citizens, and they don't have to be convinced that it's not a dangerous drug. Mm-hmm. They know it's not a dangerous drug. Right. And so that I think that has a lot to do with it.
That's a really good point. So a lot of the seniors who are in these dispensaries, they're not beginners. They're not starting out. This is not the first time they've tried THC. It's just maybe
but it's a whole new industry now. That's why even
sure.
those people, we need to educate them on concentrates, on edibles, on vaping, on all kinds of things. So that's why I think all dispensaries should be offering a weekly Cannabis 101 class. Mm-hmm. Open all. Come on in. We'll teach you any questions you have. We're going to give you the basics.
That's a great idea. I mean, why not? I mean, it's going to bring in new customers.
Why not?
And
And it's not just, the baby boomers and the, Gen X folks. Some people from the storied greatest generation, and the one in particular who coined that phrase, are now embracing medical marijuana themselves. This is an article from the New York Post. NBC News correspondent, the famous Tom Brokaw, is now embracing medical marijuana for cancer pain relief. Now, Brokaw suffered from, and is now in remission, thankfully, from multiple myeloma. Mm. And that is a kind of cancer that, it causes cancer in bone marrow. And he is now in remission. But he says, I'm now on medical marijuana. He revealed in a video released Tuesday on SurvivorNet. It's a cancer information site. Brokaw is a resident of Florida. And by the way, we love Florida, and we'll talk about more why in a moment. But one of the 33 states that now allows medical marijuana. Brokaw was diagnosed with the disease, which causes cancer to cluster in the bone marrow. And that was back in 2013. Soon after the diagnosis, he had to be medevaced to the Mayo Clinic. And, the cancer had spread. And he underwent chemo and a spinal operation. He got the cancer under control, but what it left him with was chronic pain in his bones. And
wow.
I can only imagine what that kind of pain is like. But it must be severe and relentless. So he turned to medical marijuana, and now he swears by it. He says, I've been a very lucky guy. We had a great life, and I wanted to go on. He didn't want his friends coming around and worrying about him. He didn't want to be, quote unquote, the victim. But now, he's up and around and making travel plans with his children and grandchildren. And
all right.
And so for him, the THC, the CBD, I guess it's he's doing the whole plant therapy. And it is working for him very well.
All right, another satisfied customer.
And he's got his pain under control.
Awesome. That's great.
Yeah, so well done, and all the best to Tom Brokaw.
Yeah, he was one of the, in my eyes, one of the last of the great journalists of the Walter Cronkite era.
Yep,
you're right.
Well, I hope he's going to stay with us for a long time, and maybe we can get him on the show, talk about weed sometime.
Yeah, seriously.
Maybe.
Canada is getting a big head start in the cannabis industry over the rest of the world. Since they're the first country to legalize nationally, what happens is it gives them, the companies there, the ability to finance, and you can use the banking system, and you can also start raising major capital. Whereas American companies have to deal with so many these massive inefficiencies. I mean, they got to deal with limited access to banking, and limited access to the public markets, so heavily regulated, and the costs, it's incredible. And all the banking restrictions. This happened with the alcohol prohibition. There's going to be some Canadian companies that are going to boom, that are just going to they're going to capture the market, and now American companies might catch up, but they've got a big head start.
Right.
And we really need to be realistic about this, people. Now,
well, when you think about who are the really big cannabis companies, Aurora, Canopy Growth, Kronos, Tilray, they're all Canadian companies.
Yeah. And a lot of American companies are investing in Canadian companies.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah,
Philip Morris,
Marlboro.
Yeah, that's Philip Morris.
Yeah.
And,
Philip Morris. Yeah. I thought you said Coors.
Yeah. So anyway, so I really do believe that we got America needs to get on the board. Although we're still going to be bullish about an American cannabis industry. Of course, it's going to boom because we buy 80% of all the illegal drugs in the world for that reason alone. But I think some of those companies are going to be are if you're going to invest in cannabis stocks, I think those are the companies, and they're allowed to trade in the United States. So.
That's right, and the advantage of being first to market. I don't care what it is, what country you're from. It's a big advantage.
Yeah. Or what you're selling. Yeah.
Always a big advantage.
And maybe not the first, but the people that are among the first is where you're going to find the future giants.
I just feel like the United States and the free market that we have here, it gives us an advantage too. I mean, I think that when it does happen, we will crush. We'll just crush.
And, there are already people making millions of dollars in the cannabis industry right here in America and elsewhere. And there's money to be made for sure.
70% of the legal marijuana sold last year was sold in the United States. I think it was like $26 billion was sold legally internationally, and like $70 billion was in the United States.
That's amazing.
That's amazing. And I bet the same percentage of the illegal marijuana is sold in the United States, too.
Exactly.
No, I'm sorry, it was 26. It was $17 billion was done in the United States.
I bet you there's still more black market weed by far than legal. So if you take that number, it's exponentially higher than that.
Well, I was looking at the numbers for the sales in Denver, and they did I think it was $750 million just in the city limits of Denver.
Wow.
And then I looked at New York City, and I live there, and you could get weed delivered anywhere. It's going to be huge in New York. New York City alone could be close to $2 billion a year, I think.
Yeah, I think whatever New York gets involved in, it becomes a giant in the industry, just about. I mean, that's just the nature of New York.
It's just pure population.
There's just so many people and so much money and so many resources. It's, it's no coincidence. So, Jay, who's really making the money in cannabis?
Well, I'll tell you what. I got an article here from the ArcView Group website, and they're a cannabis investment and research company, the 10 richest cannabis millionaires. Interesting enough, the first couple on the list are actually employees or the CEO and owner of ArcView, so I'll move past that. Number 8 is Adam Bierman. And he is the co-founder of MedMen Enterprises, who everyone's familiar with. They're a huge cannabis cultivation company, and they also operate dispensaries around the U.S. According to filings with Canadian System Electronic Disclosures by insiders, Bierman holds about 4 million MedMen Class B shares, makes him worth about $9.6 million. So, that's big money, but it's not huge. Well, the number 7 is another guy from MedMen, a guy named Andrew Mullen, and he has about a net worth about $4 million. Number 6 is Terry Booth. Terry Booth co-founded Aurora Cannabis. So here are all these companies coming up that Phil just mentioned.
Yep.
So he's worth his stocks are in Aurora worth about $77.7 million. Number 5 is Steve Dobler. He's with Aurora. He's worth about he has 16.5 million shares, which is worth about $115 million. Number 4 is a guy we've talked about on this show a few times, Snoop Dogg. He has a net worth of over $120 million. And Snoop Dogg has been a longtime marijuana advocate. In 2015, Snoop Dogg founded Casa Verde Capital, a cannabis-focused venture capital firm. That dude is on top of it.
So is that 140 million in cannabis?
It says his net worth is 120 million.
Yeah, so you got to figure his record sales.
Yeah, exactly.
And his TV show. He's got a television show.
That's right. Number 3 is Bruce Linton of Canopy Growth, and his shares are worth about 127 million. Number 2 is Cole Casavillani. I hope I pronounced that right. And he is the co-founder of Afria, another one you just mentioned, Phil. And his stocks are worth about 113, but he's worth about 200 million. And then the number 1 is John Cervini, and he is the co-founder of Afria, and he has 9 million shares worth about 145 million. So those are the top 10 cannabis guys. If you think about it, fellas, that's peanuts compared to a lot of other businesses and tycoons and CEOs of, GM and those kind of huge companies. But these guys are at the very beginning of an industry, and they're already have made hundreds of millions of dollars on an industry that's not even 100% legal yet. So,
well, and you're exactly right. It's only at the very beginning. There are a lot of Wall Street analysts out there who are projecting global cannabis industry sales to be somewhere between, I think, $50 and $75 billion a year by the end of the next decade. So, 10 years from now or 10, 15 years from now, these people are not going to be worth, 5, 10, $100 million. They're going to be worth a lot more than that. And there's going to be more of them. So this is just the beginning, and they're in on the ground floor.
It's like Steve Jobs and Steve Case back in 1990 or whatever.
So are most of these guys growers or processors?
They're companies, the big ones do both. They have big, huge grow operations, and they also own strings of dispensaries. So
they're vertically integrated. I mean, they
vertically integrated all the way down the supply chain.
And they sell it to
supply chain, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And imagine what can happen with these companies once it's 100% legal in the U.S. and they can have, between state lines, and they can have, dispensaries in every state. It'll just be the hockey stick.
See, that's what's going to happen. Eventually, once that passes, there are going to be some states that never passed legalization. So all their products are going to come in from out of state. So they're going to be left. There going to be very few, if any, companies in some of those states, unless they offer incentives for people to expand into them. Obviously,
right? But and that's fine. That's that's what they want
outside those states,
right?
Yeah. When it comes to cannabis products, there are some means and methods of ingesting cannabis that are kind of going by the wayside, and some of them that are new and really catching on. Jay, you've got an article about a new advanced method for consuming cannabis.
Yeah, they claim it's advanced. And I got this off a website that's, if you're in the business or looking to be in the business in cannabis, this is a great website. It's called greenentrepreneur.com, and this is Jonathan Small. Cannabis chew? ? Yep, it's a thing, and it just might be revolutionary. There's a new product on the market called Cannadips. Cannadips comes in a small fiber pouch. Kind of looks like chewing tobacco pouch,
Like a Skull Bandit.
Like one of those, yeah, okay. But it's much smaller, and it's modeled after a product called a Swedish snush. And what it is inside is the pouch is coconut.
Wait a minute. A Swedish what?
That's a
schnus?
A snus. That's an SNUS. It's a snus. Snus. I don't know. Inside the pouch are coconut fibers, essential oils, monk fruit, and dry tincture. Now, what's interesting about this?
It's like a bandit, yeah.
Yeah, what's different about the product is when you put the product in your mouth, it gets absorbed under the tongue and into the back of the mouth where there's a what they call a buccal artery. And
okay,
what this company claims is that the product, the CBD or THC, gets to your brain without going through your liver, and it gets to it almost immediately because of this artery in the back of your throat. So it's a new system of delivery for the medicine that's in cannabis. So it's kind of clever.
Now it operates under the same principle as a sublingual, right? A tincture.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same idea. The cannabinoids in cannabis are fat soluble. So generally, to intake these products, they need to either be combusted, which has a harmful effect, or get combined with other food products and are eaten. The problem with consuming things through the digestive system is that it goes through your liver and can be super psychoactive. In developing Cannadips, we were introduced to a couple of chemists who found a way to make the cannabinoid water dispersible, meaning that they dissolve in liquid or saliva. So if anybody's tried that, let us know what the deal is.
That's sort of a breakthrough.
Yeah, it might be.
That is.
If you do eat too much cannabis and you have overserved yourself, what do you do?
Curl up in the corner and go to sleep.
We all remember Maureen Dowd, the reporter from the New York Times, who ate too many gummy bears.
Oh,
and back when cannabis was first legalized in Colorado. Now, since then, they've tightened up on their labeling, and they've limited the maximum amount of milligrams per item. Mm-hmm. So where before you're buying cookies with 200 milligrams in them, apparently you can't do that anymore.
No,
that's a good thing.
So when you eat cannabis, it goes into your liver and turns to something called 11-hydroxy-tetrahydrocannabinol. Now, what that is, it's a much more psychoactive form. Now, your liver takes regular THC, which is a delta-9 THC, and turns it into this 11-hydroxy-THC. And it's so much more powerful. Joe Rogan does a bit where he says 11-hydroxy will enable you to talk to dolphins.
Yeah.
That's how
he's right.
And understand them.
But the problem with edibles is that you don't find out you did too much until it's too late. You've already ingested it.
Right.
So what do you do? there's a few things that are going to happen when you ingest too much. First thing's going to happen is you're going to have a heightened sensitivity to light, temperature, other outside stimuli. So you want to really relax and chill out. We'll get back to that in a second. The next is a disorientation. You might feel a little woozy or a little dizzy. The next is you're going to be. Some people get like orientation related nausea. So like people are susceptible to seasickness. You know, some people might feel a little
the spins.
No, the spins.
Yeah,
right.
I've heard that.
The next is paranoia. You know, because especially when these growers for years were trying to increase the amount of THC, they're unaware, but they were lowering the amount of CBD, and the CBD is something that helps balance out the THC. So if you ever consume it, that was the first thing people were getting paranoid from that.
Right.
When you ingest, everybody's body handles it differently. You know, when you smoke it, obviously it's going to happen quicker and it's not going to last as long. And when you ingest it, it's going to be a lot longer. So here's what happens. If all of a sudden you find yourself feeling one of those ways, don't panic.
That's easy for you to say.
No one's ever died from medical marijuana. So you want to lie down, you want to settle in, take it easy, and understand that you're going to be fine and it's going to be over in a couple hours.
That's right. It will wear off.
Will wear off. Secondly, you might want to eat something light. You want to drink some water. You want to get comfortable. So, put on some comfortable clothes, lay down somewhere and chill out. Some people say a shower might help. Might want some people help music. Say they like listening, getting lost in some
put
jams,
some Kenny G on the headphones.
Right. Put on some headphones, relax. Put on some. Then tell yourself it's going to be okay. It's going to be over. Now, some people are saying drink, get some CBD. Some people say because CBD might help bring you down. So there might be a CBD vape pen. I know there's probably some drops, tinctures, but you don't want to do another edible because it's going to take a long time to help to react. So what they should do is have like a CBD vape pen that has no THC, just all CBDs. So you could be like sort of a marijuana, what do they call it, EpiPens?
Right.
But the other thing you don't want to drink coffee because some people say caffeine can make it worse. One of the problems is that the first time it surprises you. It sort of catches you off guard. But you will get through it and you'll be okay. Think about when you drink alcohol and you drink too much, you sort of know what to expect. That's the problem here. People don't know what's happening to them and they weren't anticipating it. So just relax. You'll be okay. And the other good news is that the second time it happens to you, you'll be ready. Yeah.
Well, hopefully you've learned from the first time and there won't be a second time. But if it does...
No, the second time it's actually fun.
You'll be better equipped to ride it out.
Well, speaking of the second time, the other day, I don't know if you noticed on our Facebook page, I posted a picture of a strawberry blackberry milkshake I made.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Now, I didn't have my glasses on, and I thought I was using the RSO oil, and I thought I put maybe 50 milligrams, 30, 40, something like that. Well, later I got my magnifying glass out and looked, and I think I might have been closer to 100.
Oh, my God.
But,
damn.
But I drank that thing, and all of a sudden I was thinking about something. I was going, man, I was working on some recipes. I'm always working on a cookbook. So I was thinking, God, man, why should I write a cookbook? I suck. This, I just burnt that, and all of a sudden I realized, wait a minute, what are you thinking? I realized I'm getting paranoid. Then I went, oh shit, I'm like really wasted. And I stood up and went, whoa, man, this is like way too much, So I just chilled out. I realized, okay, you're gonna be fine, just relax, you'll have a life. Okay, I'm going. Okay, my breathing. Okay, I'm breathing. You're good. Okay.
That's right. Yeah.
I can remember how to swallow. I'm cool. So then I just went to bed. I laid down. I fell asleep. But like an hour and a half later, I woke up. I'm hungry.
Yeah.
And I went and ate cold chicken tenders by the light of the refrigerator.
And you were refreshed, I'm sure.
Oh, jeez. We've all been there,
bro. I went back
to
bed. And 2 hours later, I woke up again going, I'm still hungry. And I got up and ate some milk and cookies.
Yeah, you do that once and you remember it. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and those edibles.
And it can happen, and it can kind of happen to you from smoking, too.
Yeah.
If you haven't smoked in a while and all of a sudden you smoke some really good weed,
it's true.
You just take one puff too many. Yeah, it won't last that long.
That's what I was going to say.
Matter of fact, just in a couple minutes, you'll be.
That's the thing about smoking. You can hit you like that, but half hour later you're like,
it's over quickly.
Okay, I'm good.
And also you know to stop.
But not the edibles.
You don't feel like that, and you're right. You don't feel that way and go smoke more.
Right. Not the edibles. They just keep coming. It's like, what have I done?
I've never tried an edible, and I'm a little bit anxious to try, or not anxious, a little nervous to try it.
I mean, if you do the like 5 milligram ones and take 2 of them.
Well, the thing about it, edibles are huge, and they're catching on, especially in the older, for the people 55 and over. So, but what happens is if you know the product and you learn how to get the right dose, it's great.
Yeah, I agree.
It's the way to go.
I mean, everyone who does it and it works well for them, they're going, man, I'll never go back to smoking, man.
That's how I am.
100% edibles.
That's
now.
how I am. I don't smoke anymore.
Well, speaking of which, people are kind of not going back to smoking so much anymore. Isn't that right?
That's true. As a matter of fact, research says that rolling papers are sort of on their way out, and there's reasons why people are ditching rolling papers. One of them is that I have an article here on it, and one of them was saying that they say just rolling joints is just sort of a pain in the ass, and it's not cool. You know?
Really?
Like you sit there rolling a joint. I guess that's what they're saying.
I used to like that.
I know. I disagree.
Yeah. Well, I always thought I was good at it too. Yeah,
showing our age.
But one of the good points they say is that cannabis, smoking a joint, does not cool down the smoke. And also, of all the ways to smoke, that the flame is closest to your mouth when you're smoking a joint than anything else, or unless it's a small pipe. But and what happens is any kind of smoke or anything hot, even if you drink hot tea, anything over 140 degrees, it'll actually sort of kill the cells on the inside of your esophagus.
Oh, wow.
Sort of burns them.
Really?
Okay.
And then they have to regrow. And when they regrow, there's a greater chance of them developing cancer cells.
Oh, shit. I didn't know that.
So there you go. So it's a good reason why I think more people are going to. That's why bongs have always been popular, or little water pipes. And stuff.
Right.
The other thing is that that joints really don't filter out, any kind of when you have all that fiber burning. There's got to be tar, nicotine,
particulate matter. Yeah.
But that and all these little rolled up filters that they have in pre-rolled, they're just rolled up, cardboard. That's not really filtering anything.
Yeah.
So maybe there's some cannabis companies. Maybe you should seriously think about making joints that address that. Maybe with a long filter, or with a long mouthpiece that keeps the flame farther away from your mouth, so it cools it down a little bit, and it filters. So it might be cool, like the old cigarette holders.
Yeah, you'd be like those old movie stars that have the real long cigarette holders.
Yeah.
That would be real sophisticated, man.
Well, the other reason they say joints are gross, man, no, because after a while they get all this gooey, all that oil over and resin all over stuff, and really they don't taste good. I mean that's another reason they smell and taste terrible. I mean, when you get some nice weed and it tastes good, the first couple of hits probably taste good, but after that
true.
you're burning, you're smoking resin.
Yeah, it was fine when that was the best thing that we had.
Right.
But in this day and age, it's fallen way down the ladder.
I was going to say the way I see it is back in our day, the weed was a lot different. And, you could roll a big fat doob and smoke it and get a buzz. Nowadays, you roll a big fat doob with this stuff and you smoke it,
you're going to die.
Yeah, plus it's so expensive.
You're going to need to get some CBD oil.
Yeah, and I mean, you think about the amount of weed in a joint, you could do 20 bong hits, Well,
the other thing with not only the quality has gotten much greater, and per gram, but the cost has really gone up too. So that's the other thing. Joints waste weed. Every time you're sitting there holding a joint, and that little stream of smoke's going up, that's money just going up in smoke, literally.
Yep.
And the other thing, and also it sort of gives you high pressure. You light a joint, you got to smoke it now. You got to get in that circle and smoke it. Whereas some people, personally, I never liked that because I just want a couple puffs and relax. Right. I don't want to sit there and power.
And that's
hot box a joint.
And that's the other thing. You if you smoke a little bit, a few hits and put it out, it never tastes the same when you stoke it up the next.
It tastes like shit.
Yeah, it tastes like shit.
That's what I think. I think people who like flower, what they're going to, I know like the PAX vaporizer, they have like an oven in there. That's what they call it. So you can put ground up dry flower in there and it vapes it for you. You just get this, it changes color and comes out looking like tobacco.
I've seen those.
And I smoked some of that in a bong and it was awful. There's nothing.
No kidding.
Just throw it away. It's not any good. No.
Wow.
All the good stuff's been taken out without all the smoke and the smell either. And so I think that's where we were going. That and and vapes, obviously vape cartridges, which is another issue. Now they're coming up. I've been reading so many things about the level of terpenes that they're pulling terpenes from other plants and putting them in their vape juices.
Yeah.
And like you said, that sometimes really is what on the label on the vape cartridge. And then the black market's gotten into the vape cartridges. They got some shitty ones out there. So you got to be careful about that. So you really got to watch. And also the metal, they found that the metal filament in some vape cartridges or vape pens disintegrate with time, and you start inhaling heavy metals.
Oh, geez.
Because what happens, they're finding heavy metal in the vape, and they go, it's not in the juice, but it's in the vapor. And they figured out it was some of the pens.
Like the heating element?
Yeah, the heating element, I guess.
The non-ceramic ones, I guess.
Yeah, so that in business in the future, I think you're going to see just all ceramic. Yeah. The metal elements are going to be gone.
Well, that's another another FDA thing, you know? I mean, they just don't have time to test all the different brands and products right now, so...
Yeah, but I think responsible business owners are going to go, hey, well, let's do it right.
Let's hope so.
You know, that's a smart thing to do, because when it does come out, we're going to go, we knew it. We've been doing it for 5 years now, and all the other companies are changing.
Right.
You know, who are you going to stick with? You know, we knew it, and we did it because it was the right thing, not because we had to.
Yeah.
Right. And competition in the market will force that kind of stuff. The metal vapes are going to not be popular. Right. And, if they become a problem, I mean, theoretically, and, let the market take care of this.
Well, the future of smoking, I think, is going to be more towards vaping. Obviously, it's going away from flour. But then what are you smoking? You're going to be smoking flour, you're going to be oil, concentrates, butter. And so it's all the different apparatuses you use. And I think...
Boy, has it changed or what?
One of them is going to kind of explode. I think it's probably going to be the vape pen, but some of it's going to explode. Another big thing on the horizon is it's really the live resin. Now, what that means is in business, when what live resin is you take a freshly cut plant and you freeze it and you process it from there.
No kidding.
Now, what that means, lowers the risk really greatly lowers the risk for growers and processors, because you don't have to cure it and dry it. And it speeds up the process, but curing and drying is where mold issue comes in.
Does it taste the same, Andrew?
So it's freeze dried.
It's freeze dried, and they use it in oil.
Does it taste the same?
Well, what they're saying is the terpenes are staying more intact. So it's actually some of the products, they say, have a really great flavor.
Never heard of that. I didn't know that.
That's great.
It's going to be, I think that's one of the new trends, see where that goes. I think, and also very few people are doing it now. And I think if you do, it's going to set you apart from other companies, But as I'm learning about it now, next week I'll discuss it more. I'm reading Ed Rosenthal's book on concentrates.
Looking forward to hearing that.
I'll finish up on next week.
Well, I hope everybody has enjoyed our talk today, and I hope you've learned something and found some information that's useful. So if you have any other ideas or comments, questions, corrections, whatever,
or story
please
ideas,
do contact us. Story ideas, contact us. And a great place to start is at VoteProPot.com.
Or you can send us an email at VoteProPot@gmail.com.
And please like and follow us and leave a comment on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Just do a search for Vote Pro Pot.
Wish I was up in Vancouver at the Cannabis Cafe, smoking good old Sensimilla at the beginning of the day. But here I am in New York City, hiding out in Central Park, getting kidnapped by the police today sometime before dark. But I wish I was up in Vancouver at the Cannabis Cafe, smoking good old Sensimilla at the beginning of the day. The judge looked down upon me and frowned. He said, kid, get on your way. Just don't start out your morning with espresso and a J. I said, I wish I was up in Vancouver at the Cannabis Cafe, smoking good old Sensimilla at the beginning of the day. to BC. Took the bus over to the neighborhood to have a bowl with my coffee. Now I'm up in Vancouver at the Cannabis Cafe, smoking good old Sensimilla at the beginning of the day. Smoking good old Sensimilla at the beginning of the day.